welcome to this morning's table talk. Today we have myself, Sandy, VJ, Robin. So we are happy to have you with us. We'll start. I'm going to start today because I just have a little bit, and then you guys can go on with what you do.
Okay.
We can answer questions and all that.
Okay.
So I'm going to start. Oh, I do have some things that I'll be sharing that Kathy did. So today is the day we are shipping out, and this will air next week, but today we're shipping out the April Hilltop Club design. So that's done, and by the time you watch this should start arriving in your homes or shortly after. So that's the April.
It's so cute.
So that was kind of fun.
Look at the little bunny.
Yeah, our little bunny. Sit that there for a second.
Oh, that's darling.
So today we're going to be talking a lot about stitchery. So I'm going to share some of the things Kathy's working on. We've talked about this before, but this is there's 9 projects in the series, and it is called, what is this?
Fall on the Farm.
Fall on the Farm. And so Kathy's got the first 3 done. I think we're waiting on number 4. Has it arrived yet?
No, it has not.
We're waiting for the 4th one to arrive, so she's up to date on stitching of this. And
It's so
that's a
cute.
fun. Yeah, it's going to be
love
so.
those little ears of corn.
I know
because
those ears of corn.
I was raised on a farm, and I just think that is
Oh,
the
yeah.
cutest thing ever.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yep, it's got so many
adorable.
cute projects. And then we got back from the framer a couple of things that Kathy stitched a while ago, and this one's just right in time.
Oh,
Isn't that cute?
this is the Harriet and Company.
Yeah, is it Harriet and Company? Yeah. And that's
It's
cute.
just precious.
Yeah. So we
It's
have that
so
pattern
cute.
on the website. Really sweet.
Well, that's the
For
cutest
spring.
little bunny.
I
just
know, isn't that
love
fun?
it. And I love
The
the
little
little
bunny basket.
and the little bird up there is so cute
Yeah,
too.
really sweet.
The pad, I love the plaid pants.
That's like
Yeah.
my favorite part.
Yep,
The
so
pants.
cute.
Yes, darling.
Love it.
Very nice.
And then this one
Gorgeous too.
is so beautiful.
Oh, that's
Isn't that
totally
beautiful?
awesome. Yes. Oh, I hadn't seen that one. That's
Yeah.
really just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love this project.
Kathy does such a good job.
She does amazing. And this one was framed. Both of these were framed by Jamie at Craft Center.
Oh,
So,
Jamie does a great
She
job.
does a beautiful job of framing.
I just got something back from her
Yeah,
as well. She does such a
And that's
nice
Craft
job.
Center here in Utah. And then Kathy is also working on, I think she showed this once, that this is what she's going to be starting. So this is Love is Patient, Love is Kind.
That's
And
cute.
so she's got that started.
The rabbit. Wait, are they rabbits?
Yep, they're
Okay,
rabbits.
Okay, I cannot tell.
So we have patterns for all of these in the store. And I think that's what I've got to share so far.
Nice.
Cool.
And then let's go to Robin. What have you got
Alright.
to share with us?
Okay, so I showed this the last time I think I was on Table Talk. I've been working on this cute quilt called Sun Shower. And you had suggested that I use this linen for my background of my sashing. And I just love the way it's turning out.
It's pretty.
I'd never really
Oh, that's a
worked
linen.
with it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, so I'm excited. So I haven't got the other blocks
Yeah,
done,
but
but
this is what the
this
lighter
is what
blocks
so
would
this
be,
so I've
yeah.
got half of the quilt done because I got these all done. But I'm excited because I think it's turning out
I
fun.
think it's going to be
It's
beautiful.
Yeah.
So-
Very nice.
And then I've been doing some cross stitch, of course. Been working on this Liberty Lane.
Let me hold the pattern. You
Yes.
decide it's gonna be
I
so
changed
cute.
out the flosses because I am a more traditional girl when it comes to the 4th of July and
So did
stuff.
you just
so,
you darkened the blue, right?
yes,
You've
I
got
did a darker blue, a
Yeah.
darker red. It's
This
I
is very
copied-
pastel.
yeah, and I like the more
Mm-hmm.
traditional. I
Yeah.
think it was the same colors that Stitching with the Housewives Priscilla did.
Priscilla did.
Yeah, so you can find the colors, but we can also tell
Yep.
what colors I was
That's
using.
cute.
So,
And that's done on, isn't that 28 Country Mocha?
uh-huh.
Vintage Country Mocha. I love that fabric.
I just love the
yeah.
little modeling of it.
I can see a lot on the camera. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
the color
Well, that's
difference.
good.
Has that kind of hand-dyed
Yeah.
look.
And then I've been working on my Nutcracker Village, but I didn't have enough to show. So,
Yep. And
There we are.
I think we've given it back to Pat because she's all cut up and,
it's beautiful.
or did she?
Did she give it back again?
Let's see. Kathy's gonna look and see. We might have her nutcracker.
Oh,
Let's see.
Oh, we do. Oh,
Thank
how
you, Kathy.
exciting! It's gorgeous.
Yeah. So
Oh
this
my goodness.
is Nutcracker Village. So she's got 4 months done. Got
Oh, that
the
is so cute.
It's so cute.
I love that.
yeah.
We have the pattern here, right?
Yep. We have all the patterns. They come monthly. We get a new pattern each month. What was this? Was the
Little Russian.
Russian
Tea shop.
tea shop.
I know.
Yep.
I
And the
love
Chinese. I can't remember what that one was.
tea room.
Russian.
Was that? No.
Or
Oh,
Russian.
it's Russian peppermint.
Oh,
Peppermint.
Russian peppermint.
Yes.
And then the Chinese tea room.
Yes.
Oh, so
I just
cute.
love the colors. I
Yeah.
love the fabric.
The fabric. So
It's
fantastic. Yeah. So the newest one is the Russian peppermint shop. And then the one before that was the Chinese tea room. So this is the newest one, and Pat's already got it done. She's amazing.
She does wonderful work
She
too.
does wonderful work.
It's
gorgeous.
I love it.
So that is just coming along.
Oh, it is. It's beautiful.
Just
So,
makes you want to go
thank
home
you,
and
Pat.
sketch.
She's doing a great job. And so we'll now be giving this back to Pat when the next one comes in, and she'll just keep working along. Love that.
I love it.
So much
Hey,
detail.
sorry, had to pop in with that.
No, I love that
Yeah.
because she makes. Yeah.
Wait, so which one are you on? Sorry.
I'm on the first one.
Oh.
I'm
there's so
working
many
on the
projects.
first tree.
You multitask. Many
Yeah.
different
Yes.
projects going.
Well, on this one I have to do it when I can see.
Yeah.
And because the glitter,
Yeah.
the fabric, you have to have the perfect light.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
And this one's a little bit bigger,
Mhm.
so
Yes.
you know
Yeah.
I can see this at
Oh.
night really well.
Because this is 28 count and this is 32 count.
Yeah. So that's what you
That
know.
makes a difference.
Makes a
Just
difference
that little
when
bit.
I-
Yeah. And we also have this glitter cloth here in the shop. too,
Yeah.
Because I don't think you can get it too many places.
Yeah,
so that's
it's
cool.
it's hard to get right now, but like we've said before, Sandy made a big mistake a while ago, and it profited us because now we have it.
Right.
So sometimes those things are serendipitous. So
Yes. that's
Okay.
cool.
Right.
Okay.
VJ has got stuff to share.
Yeah.
Some
So many
beautiful
quilts
things.
coming out from VJ lately.
Oh, VJ's
so many.
Doing
She
such
always
beautiful
has.
work for us, and we could show. Have we shown that on tabletop
No, I
yet?
think we need to show
We
that
need to show
quilt, too.
that,
I
yeah.
was wondering if we
And
should
I'm
show
gonna
that
stand
one as
up.
well.
Because I'm gonna have Robin help me. Let's hold it
Okay.
So,
while VJ talks about this one.
This is the right side I'm picking.
We'll just hold it back here. And VJ can talk about this quilt.
It's gorgeous.
well,
And we're only seeing part of it because it is a big quilt.
yes, this is actually a 70 by 90 quilt, so it's a twin size. And, you know, I love French General, so when this came in, Sandy just thought, VJ can do this because she loves red, she loves French General, and so I looked and looked to try to find something, some pattern that I would want to do it, you know, to sew it into. And I actually couldn't find a really great pattern just using diamonds, so I wrote my own up, and Sandy put all the little illustrations in for me. But I used the Creative Grids diamond ruler. It's a 5.5
Can we
inch.
get that for us so I can show it's hanging right
And-
where the quilt was?
And so that, and by the way, you wouldn't have to buy it, but it sure makes it a whole lot easier if you
Yes.
have that diamond ruler.
Mhm.
So, and this is the ruler that we used. And there is you know, one thing with Creative Grid rulers is you can always just use the little QR code, and you can go to their website and it will show you exactly how to use it, which is wonderful as well. So it really makes it easy to cut all these little diamonds out.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
so I mean, really the hardest part of this, well, matching the seams was a little challenging,
Mm-hmm.
but you know my OCD nature already.
Right.
But just laying it out it took this huge big space because I have a big sewing room, but boy, it was kind of cramped. But you know, and one thing about this is after you lay it out, you sew it in diagonal rows, just like if you were sewing a quilt on point.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
And then you go ahead and then put those rows together. But and then you have to take and trim all around the outside edge as well when you
Oh.
finish sewing it together, because otherwise you've got these little diamond things, points hanging out on the side.
Yeah.
but it really is just a fun quilt. And it was something like, it's not like you have to put individual blocks together. It's just putting rows together and then sewing it. And so it really did go together much more quickly than I ever expected it to. So it was a fun project.
It's beautiful.
So-
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so VJ's not
Done yet.
our quick, easy quilt gal.
I like challenges. I like to
does.
learn new things because I'd never done anything like this before, and I try to rise to the occasion.
Yes, you do that, for sure. All right,
Okay.
Robin, we'll hold this one for her as well.
Oh, I'm excited. This one is gorgeous.
So this is
also.
another quilt that I just finished. Well, Monday evening I finished this, and I'm going to have it quilted now.
It's so beautiful.
You know, this is a line from Marcus, and
Oh.
Isn't it beautiful?
Oh, it's so
it
pretty.
is called Equipment Toolbox, and I cannot remember.
Now, do you think that looks like equipment toolbox?
I think it's
Right.
our name probably for the fabric. It's just this really soft, delicate
So
fabric.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, once again, the fabric comes in and Sandy's, well, VJ, what can we do with this? And so I start looking and trying to find some things and found this pattern. And I actually gave Sandy a number of options, but she chose the most difficult pattern. There was.
Oops.
So,
Right.
It was you,
It's so
Sandy.
pretty. Yeah,
Well,
that's
and
how
look
I
how
roll.
fun the border is. I love the border.
VJ
because
Yeah.
likes a challenge.
different.
I do like a challenge because this is something I've never ever done before. And this pattern is in this Miss Rosie's farmhouse.
I love Miss Rosie's. Hers are not with few pieces.
No,
Her
they're,
pattern.
they're not. They're not for the weak of heart.
No.
They truly are not. And but her pattern in here, or her quilt, excuse me, was much darker fabrics. And so this has a completely different look
Yeah.
and feel to it, which I love. And also she used more fabrics. We only had about maybe 25 different fabrics. And I think hers had, I can't remember how many, maybe 40 or something. So we've doubled up on some of the things, but I think it still
so
just
pretty.
showcases the fabric really beautifully. And I just think it's just a beautiful quilt to me. Just
Yeah.
so
It
sweet.
is. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
How many like arrangement did you lay out when you were trying to put like the colors?
Oh, well,
How many tries did you give?
well, you know, I just sat down on the floor. This is a
Yeah.
time when I need to have better knees. What can
Yeah.
I say? But you know, I just kept playing with it and kept playing with it. You know, so I mean, it takes several hours to lay something out like this, and then
Yeah.
you let it lay there overnight. And you come back and look at it the next day and think, oh, okay, this is not a good spot.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll send a picture to a friend or my sister or something and say, okay, any suggestions? And then
Sometimes when you take a picture of it and you look at the picture,
yes.
something will pop out at you that you didn't see when you were looking
Right.
at the actual
Uh-huh.
thing.
It's
I
so
agree.
weird.
And
Isn't that
I've,
crazy?
oh
Yeah.
yes, and I've noticed the very same thing.
Yeah, that's
So it's a good
important.
idea when you're laying out. Take a picture, look
Mhm.
at that,
Yes.
because sometimes
Yes.
something will pop out at you.
But I'm really pleased with the quilt.
Yeah,
I just
it's
think
beautiful.
if any of you make this, you're going to just love it. And this is not a quilt in the afternoon. Okay, so
No.
just be aware, because I know I spent a couple of weeks working on it.
But
So-
did you use the flying geese lock, or did you not?
But I did not. I did not.
Oh,
I
Your
would
flying
like
geese are
to have.
beautiful.
I know.
But the way
That's
she has
right.
she has you do your flying geese different, so she doesn't have you cut them oversized, and so I followed the directions, which I in some ways regretted afterwards, but, because I really do like using the block legs, and you can do that for these big ones. You could.
Yeah.
The little ones that are
Yeah.
on the stars are a different size,
Right.
so it
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, so
but
beautiful.
yes, I do love the block legs.
I just love this.
But yeah, it's just gorgeous. So anyway,
Can you show me in the book the pattern that shows her
oh
the
yeah,
way it was originally done?
yeah, I'll show you that.
I just think it's fun to see, like,
The difference.
it looks so different. Yeah.
So there's her original.
Oh, it's more like a farm.
Oh yeah,
This is called Farmhouse
Right.
Favorites. Yeah.
And
But
it
this is just soft.
much darker feel, and I love this.
Yeah,
as
I do too.
well.
Right.
It's beautiful.
They're equally
But
beautiful.
this, you know, you probably wouldn't even think, oh, they're the same quilt
Yeah.
because of the differences.
Yeah.
So
Really pretty.
That's what I told VJ the other day we worked together. I said, you need to stop making all these cute quilts because I feel like I have to buy them all because they're beautiful. And then I also told her I love this quilt because it's 80s colors.
Oh,
From
yeah.
growing up, and it just makes
There you
me
go.
happy.
The
So
mauve, the blues, the, yeah.
yes.
yeah, this was the
Yeah.
color of my room growing up. So
Yeah.
yeah,
This was
makes
the
me
color of my house, the first house I bought.
Oh,
And
I remember all that too. Yes.
yeah. And
So-
my husband still sits in a recliner. So I've told this funny story. When we moved the last time, I said, that recliner is not going with us.
Oh.
We are not taking that recliner. It is going to the, he's like, but I love it. I'm like, no, that mauve, I called it pink, but it was mauve. That recliner we've had for 40 years or whatever, it is not going to one more home.
Yeah.
Got rid of it. I'm like, yes. So in the meantime, we didn't know what furniture we were going to get for the apartment thing. And so he says, well, my mom has a recliner that I can buy until we decide what we're getting.
oh dear.
Because he was having these, needed this recliner. It was mauve.
Oh no.
So still I have
The mauve.
a newer one, but a mauve recliner.
Oh dear.
And I'm like, okay, that's got to go.
Yeah.
But anyway,
understandable.
he says, but it's so comfy. And I'm like, oh, yeah.
They
Anyway.
make new ones that are comfy too.
Yeah, they did. I know.
And they're leather.
Stylish colors. And
Yes, that's what I,
Yes.
So we'll have to branch out,
absolutely.
But this quilt would look lovely on his recliner.
Matches really well.
Anyway.
Well, I'm not giving this one away. I'm just telling you.
Like no one can have this one but VJ.
I can
Definitely
understand.
not giving it away. So this is definitely one that will stay. And at my death, I'm sure it will be.
It's beautiful.
So anyway.
Love it.
Oh.
Okay. So I was going to just show you a couple of other things. I know we were talking a little bit about embroidery and something that I've been working on. We have this is just regular embroidery now. So we have this little pattern by Meg's and Me. And I just think it is the cutest little pattern. And I like to do hand stitching and whether it be cross stitch or just regular embroidery. But I've started working on this. I'm actually, I think, on my 8th block right now. But these are the most darling patterns. Just cute as can be. So
Yeah, she makes some fun patterns.
She does. She has some
she
cute
really
ones.
does.
That's cute.
And this is patterns down on the farm. And I look at her beautiful embroidery. Okay, VJ. Now talk to us about the difference in what the pattern called for you to do and what you're doing.
Well, I think it just uses like a single strand of thread.
Yeah.
And I'm using 3 strands.
That's why they're like more.
And
Yeah.
I'm not using the
bold.
colors she suggested because what I did is I pulled a bunch of my fabrics together and then I went ahead and just chose what color that I really, really liked that went with it. And so as a result, I have something that really coordinates well. So these were the colors of fabric that I did pull for that because I have a fabric store in my basement. But anyway, and sometimes on my embroidery I will put an extra layer of fabric on the back and just baste around, but I did not do that. The reason I think you really do that is so if you travel.
Right.
I don't really travel too long of distances when I'm stitching.
And you're not changing colors on these blocks, which is nice.
Yes, they go together so quick.
Because of that. Because
Yeah, you can stitch one of these in a couple of evenings, really. Which is, it's nice to have something that's pretty simple.
Yeah.
So I really do love it. And one thing I hadn't really ever done too much of before is just filling in an area with a back stitch. And that's been really kind of fun to do too. It takes a lot of thread though, so be prepared.
Yeah.
So, but it really looks cute.
It does.
So anyway, but I'm loving this really enjoying putting it together.
And you're
so.
doing you've done a stem stitch here versus a back stitch.
I have, yes, I did. And it pops up a little bit more, is a little thicker.
It's beautiful.
Because I wanted to be able to just really see those little creatures. So,
Yeah,
because
they're really
I
fun.
really like them so much. So,
Oh, the sheep. Oh, that sheep's so
I
cute.
know, isn't that sheep darling?
Darling.
And I have to say, sometimes I have to, I'll show you here in a second, but I think that's cute. And there's a little mouse. But, you know, sometimes like on
mouse.
this little shaft of wheat, I have to say, I put in a few more lacy daisies.
Yeah.
Because more is better.
Right.
So cute.
So anyway, but I do think they're really sweet. So I've just got,
So this is how you trace yours on, and you've used
yes.
the micron pen?
I
Is that
always
right?
use a micron
That's
pen
nice,
when I
yeah.
trace them on because it gives you I think it's a 0.001 or something. And so
And the brown is nice.
yes, I like the brown, and it
covers
really
easier.
covers up. And something else, when it calls for a lacy daisy, I do not draw the whole lacy daisy.
Yeah.
I just draw the little dot here and then a dot over to where it goes.
Right.
And so that's all I'm doing, and that makes it very, very nice too, because otherwise it's,
If you draw that petal,
it
your,
doesn't,
your daisy's never going to be exactly that
no,
shape.
It will
just
never cover.
doesn't, because every little lacy daisy you make is a little bit different shape.
Right.
It seems
Right.
like to me. So yeah, that's my little project. So I've almost got the little, almost have my little bunny rabbit
Awesome.
done. I worked on that. I was hoping to have that done for today, but you know, I was falling asleep stitching last night. What can I say?
We've all done that.
Yes.
So that's
So one of the things I brought to show you, this is something I just got back. My mother does beautiful embroidery.
Yes,
and,
she does.
And this was a pattern and I know I don't have the original because I always copy things off so my mom can see what it looks like.
Right.
But this is the pattern that it's from. And my daughter, this was actually for my daughter, and she had it sitting somewhere, and she finally found it from like 20 years ago. And what my daughter did is she just colored every single thing in with a regular crayon. And then she, of course, gave them to me. Okay, Mom, take care of this. and then I took and laid them face down on just some, I just used some scrap white cloth, you know, and just pressed it so it would heat set the crayon. And then I sent them to my mother.
And she did.
Because she's fast.
Yeah.
She's fast. And she just did all of the outline stitches and did all that.
Oh, that's fun.
But these are fun. So I'm hoping, I don't know, but they're just cute as can be. So, but there's just a lot of things you can do, and then I will probably be the one who goes ahead and sews these.
You will
into
do
a
the quilt. Yeah, you do. So VJ does beautiful quilts with her mom's embroidery.
So anyway, but I just think they're
Fun.
really darling.
And so that's just a regular Crayola crayon.
it is.
Yep.
Yes.
That's fun.
So it's just another idea
Yeah.
that I thought you might enjoy. So now one thing I always do if I'm going to put it into a quilt is I cut my blocks at least 2 inches bigger all the way around.
Right.
Because you want to be able to trim it. And sometimes the stitching kind of pulls it in a little
it
tiny
will
bit
pull it in
as
just a
well.
little.
Yeah. So anyway, that's just a good idea for you to make
Love it.
sure to oversize your blocks.
Now my Aunt Betty had started when she was quite young doing some blocks. They look similar to this, but she had taken from a coloring book. And she had done, some of the blocks were done with feed sacks. Because she had actual feed sacks for the clothing on it, and then she'd done the embroidery.
Oh, so she did some applique.
Some applique and some embroidery. They're so cute, but she had used coloring books because they were simple, you know, and so they were nursery rhymes as well. But I'll have to bring those in sometime. They're really fun, and but they're not all finished, and it was actual on actual feed sack. The white cloth was actual from feed sacks.
Right.
So, but she hadn't finished them all, and she gave them to me, and I was going to finish them for my daughter when she was a baby, who's now, 23.
And has her babies.
But the problem I had was she did the outline stitch or the stem stitch for all of it, and I'm not good at getting those tight corners with my stem stitch, and so I wanted mine to look as nice as hers, and so I kind of stopped, but I need to have you help me with that, because your
Oh.
stitching is beautiful,
Oh, well,
and
thank
you're
you.
in that way,
But
so.
I had my mom.
But these are done with that same
Mhm.
stem stitch, and that,
Yes.
and so I want to use that stitch on Betty's,
Mhm.
so I'm gonna still
Yeah.
finish that.
So, yeah, my mom though, she taught me, so it's her fault, I'm sure.
Yeah, well then, she needs good credit, because you do beautiful stitching.
Oh, thank
Yes,
you.
you do.
Thank you. So,
Wonderful, well, thank you.
you're welcome.
Kathy has something else for us to show,
Oh,
which is the table topper
from Riley
from
Blake.
Riley Blake.
Nice.
That's cute,
Oh,
fun,
that
and
is
bright.
cute.
I
Very
love it.
nice.
And this is for May, right, Kath?
Yeah.
Because April was the bunny.
Yeah.
And this is the May kit that is out now. We are waiting for June to arrive.
today.
Oh, June is arriving today. So,
Oh, wow.
May
So
is,
people can have these done in time.
yeah, that's nice this
That
year,
is
so they can
nice.
have it done. So it comes all boxed up like the
Nice.
little April one did, and all ready to go.
Okay,
Uh,
cute.
Is this from your sister?
No, yeah, that's
Oh,
Holly
or we
loaned
made-
this to
okay.
us because we don't have ours stitched yet, but yeah, so beautiful. I'm sure that the
Adorable.
quilting was
Cool.
probably done by Chelsea Fitzgerald.
It looks
Gorgeous.
like it.
Doesn't
It
look-
looks
yeah.
like it, yeah.
So, but that's a fun new project we have in the shop. So,
Oh, good.
thanks for reminding me of that, Kath. That's great. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions now you've
Yes,
got for us, or?
do. Let me look for my question. Okay, so we have people asking us about cross stitch. We did have an episode about cross stitch,
Mhm.
but then I approached them, and then I didn't know what they really want to know. So I just came up with some, like, again, very general questions, because you all cross stitch. So can you tell us about, or like, do you do embroidery as well? Do you
So,
all?
I think
So-
probably well,
You
yeah,
all
cross
do?
stitch and embroidery.
Okay.
I like handwork. It's
Because
just,
it goes with you.
Yeah.
You can take it anywhere.
yeah, that's,
Yes,
it's
you can
nice
sit and
to.
watch a movie.
Mhm.
It doesn't require
Yes.
a lot of stuff.
Right.
So, like, if people ask us, what's the difference between cross stitch and embroidery?
Okay. Cross stitch is counting.
Mm-hmm.
It is stitching over a square or over two threads, and it's making that X.
Mhm.
And then there's some back stitch involved if there's outlining or, but
Lettering as
yeah,
well.
and it's
Mhm.
exact. It's
Mhm.
exact. Like there's 14 stitches in an inch, or there's 12 stitches in an, whatever count fabric you have. And you're following a pattern that tells you what goes where everywhere.
Right.
Embroidery. Talk to us about embroidery, BJ.
Well, embroidery, you have really, a gazillion stitches. You
Yeah.
can do
Right.
so many different things. You can do satin, a lazy daisy. I mean, just a stem stitch, a back stitch. I mean, there's just so many different stitches. And I was thinking we should have gotten one of those little embroidery stitches books to
Oh,
show
yeah.
all of the different
Yeah,
things
little-
that you
Oh,
can
yes.
but I don't know. I think you can have it look a lot more rustic. It's not so precise.
Mhm.
But and you can do it so you can determine, do you want to use one strand of thread so it's not going to pop very much, or do you use 3 strands? Usually I've never really used more than 3 strands. But I don't know. I don't know.
It's a little more free hand as well.
A little more creative. Like you
in
can.
that you have a little more, I don't know, control or freedom. I guess you can change up your cross stitch.
interpretation.
Exactly.
That's the word.
So
Mhm.
if you hate backstitch,
You do the stem.
you do the
stitch.
stem stitch. If you don't
Yes.
like satin stitch, you can fill it in with back stitching. You can, there's a lot of changes you can make, but also your, like VJ showed on this one here, your design is on your fabric.
Right. And you don't have to count anything.
And you don't have to count. And so
Right.
your pattern's there and you're stitching over your lines.
Mhm.
And so there's a little less, like, it's easier to do when I'm watching TV than count it.
Right.
In that I'm not having to reference constantly where I'm,
Right.
Mhm.
needing
You
to
don't
do.
lose where you are as easy as.
Yeah,
Right. And you certainly don't have to do it all in one color.
Right.
You can You know, I could do the flowers in the yellow
Yeah.
and brown, or you know, do whatever you want.
And you know, red work is really popular, but Meeks and Me,
Yes.
I like that they change it up and they'll do
Right.
blue work,
Right.
basically.
Yes, you can do it in any color you want. I mean, you wouldn't even have to do this quilt in a blue. You could
Right.
you could do it in a teal or
Reds
um,
or
yeah,
really anything.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I know my mother, she was doing a lot of red work for me for a while,
Uh-huh.
and finally she just said, okay, I can't do it. You got to do a different color now. I don't want to do any more red.
I'm
for
done
a
with
while.
red for a while.
Yeah, because red work, I mean, for a while there, it was extremely popular.
Yes.
And it still is
Yeah.
popular, but probably now it's a little bit more.
More variety. And,
Yes.
yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. So,
And you know, you can design your own embroidery or take
Yes.
from a coloring book or an
Right.
illustration you find online, and you can trace it and then just kind of freehand what you want to do.
right.
Right.
I know
kind of
I
fun.
had, when my grandchildren were really young, I had them just teach them how to backstitch. And I just had them draw their hand on a piece of fabric, and then they backstitched their hand shape. And so, I mean, I think it's something really easy for a little child to learn. It's
Right.
much easier to learn to embroider than
Then
it
to
is
cross.
Right.
stitch.
All my children know how to embroider because we would sew, and my mother-in-law was cute and would say, "Oh, you need
Here.
something to
Yeah.
do.
Right.
Let's sit down." And
Mhm.
they would color a picture, and then they would embroider. And it's boys and girls. They
Yeah.
both
Right.
all know
Fun.
how to do it.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
but I
Yeah,
wanted to
so-
ask you, because we had this conversation last time we were working, about
Dropping my
backing
water.
your embroidery, and how, do you, I noticed you don't have any backing on yours,
I don't.
but on all of these that I prepared for, I did put a backing. I used the Shape Flex because, I'm still kind of beginning with embroidery, and I get super crazy about my stitches.
Yeah.
I overthink it, and so I, just need to let it go. I know, but anyway, so because I backed these, but then when we did the Peaceful Day, I did not, because I felt like it was, a little bit bigger.
Right.
And these were done on that linen, which is
Right.
has more body to it. It is
Exactly.
a heavier cloth,
It does.
Right.
and so when I'm doing on this linen, I don't back.
No, I don't either.
I don't like that extra bulk.
Right.
When I'm changing color a lot, and on these small ones, I did back mine. Whoops, because I'm doing the same project.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I had to copy. Sorry.
So if I'm doing something that I'm going to frame, I usually back it.
Mhm.
And I just will get another piece of like muslin, or just use the very same fabric.
Mhm.
And then I will just baste around the outside edge. And I mean, if it's big, I will even do a basting
Right.
stitch right across the middle, and just to hold it together really nicely. But if it's in a quilt, I tend not to really back it too much. And the one reason I do that is because it really does make a big difference within the quilt. But if it has applique on it also, then I definitely want to back it, because, especially if it's a cotton. If it's a linen, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
And I think some people like to back and some people don't, and
I
it's
think
kind of.
it's personal
And whether you
preference.
use
Right.
Shape Flex or you use just like the cotton. Sometimes on my bigger blocks, when I have used Shape Flex, because on my little ones I haven't seen this problem,
Right.
but on my bigger block, if I've ironed Shape Flex to the back,
Kind of
I
does
get
his
this little
bubble.
puckering or bubbling effect in it. And so I've stopped on my bigger blocks using the Shape Flex and instead just double with cotton.
Okay.
Or
Well, so that's good to know.
Yeah.
And then I'm really bad at this. I don't use a hoop.
it's,
So
I think that's
have to be,
personal
I
preference.
have to be
too.
very,
I think it is.
I'm careful not to pull my stitches tight,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
but,
Right.
And that is one thing. If you pull your stitches too tight,
Yeah.
you're going
I
to see
agree.
a ripple in your. So
And one thing you can do when you're doing a bunch of little things like that is you don't even need to cut your fabric. You can just trace everything together, so you have a bigger piece of fabric that you're working with.
and then
that can make it
embroider
a little
'em.
bit easier if you want to use a hoop especially.
and then stitch them up later. And Robin, you're stitching yours individual, where I'm sewing my block and then doing my embroidery. But
So there's
there's just lots of options.
Oh, yeah, and
So-
I don't think anything's right or anything's
Yeah,
wrong. It's
yeah.
just what you prefer to
There's
do.
no embroidery police that are gonna come and.
Well,
No,
and what's
there
nice
aren't.
is that
Thank
we can
goodness.
have a conversation about it and then take tips, because I don't
Uh-huh.
think you're ever too old to learn new stuff.
Yep.
And it just makes me excited, because then I get, I want to take this.
Yeah.
But this is definitely something I can embroider in the car. I
Uh-huh.
cannot cross stitch in the car.
Yeah,
That's true.
that's
You know?
true.
And
Cross-stitching
so-
is, yeah.
I think it's good to have everything prepped.
Yeah.
So that you can
Yep.
do what you need.
Can you have
And-
a little bag and you'll be able to grab?
Yep,
Oh yes.
and
I
see
have
what
a few
mood
of
you're
those.
in, because sometimes I'm not in the mood for
No.
embroidery, so I like to.
Exactly.
Sometimes you want to bind a quilt.
That's right.
So,
Which I need to do on my quilt that's under here. But that'll get done. So, any other questions?
Not really. I don't want to ask all these other questions,
Okay.
but like I do have one. Is we do see embroidery or cross stitch on the quilting. Like, how do you choose the preference, or like, I guess it just have a different look.
Yeah, it does. And usually you don't see a lot of cross stitch incorporated into quilts.
No.
But embroidery, you do see more of that. But like we have that one bag that has cross stitch
Yeah.
in it, sewn into the bag.
Yeah.
So usually that's more that you would see cross stitch. And it's over on that little green chair if you want to grab that.
Oh, yeah.
So VJ, what about, because your mom does a lot of these and does them into quilts.
right.
What about prepping
Oh.
your threads if you're going to be washing? Do you worry about?
I haven't ever, something I always do is when my mother sends me her stack of something that needs to be put into a quilt, I do, and I will with this too, I will wash these, but what I do is I just, in my sink, I'll just put a little bit of, cool water with a little bit of mild, really like ivory dish soap is what I've used before. I'll just put
Just
a
a
little
little
ivory and let them soak for, 20, 30 minutes maximum. And then I don't even really wring them
Right.
out. I will take and just get some clean towels, usually a light color, of course, and roll them up into the towel just to absorb all that extra water. And then I'll put out, on my ironing board, I just put out a towel that has a kind of a deep nap so that the stitches can slip into that, and I press it from the wrong side.
Right.
And I always do that.
Do you press it while it's damp?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely,
That's
while
what I
it's
do.
damp. So it's all, it's a 2-hour process from the time I
Right.
start soaking until I, take and rinse them several times and then go ahead and roll them up. Then I don't even think I let them sit for 10 minutes and then I immediately press them.
Yeah.
And like I said, I always do that from the wrong side, and then I can go ahead and trim them to the correct size, and then they're ready to go ahead and sew into your quilt.
And if you've used a quality floss, you will have much less bleeding.
Yes.
Now, the difference on that in cross stitch is a lot of us are using the overdyed threads. Some overdyed threads are color fast and some are not.
Right.
Now, originally Weeks Dye Works was not color fast. It is now.
Okay.
But you have to be careful because you could have a skein from before they were color fast
Oh.
and in your project, and if you wet it, it will bleed. I have done that before. On my, like a red, particularly reds are always the ones you worry about.
Reds are the worst.
Yeah. So I just have to be careful.
So do you wash your cross stitch?
No.
Okay.
If
I would never wash
I don't,
cross
I
stitch.
have,
Mhm.
I have, if I've got something on, I will, but I do the same process as VJ says.
Mhm.
The one thing I was taught was never use woolite.
Oh.
They said woolite you think is a gentle, so use wool, but woolite they said has a little bit of a bleach in it.
Oh.
And you don't want to use that. So that was the one tip I was told. So I use just a little, like you say, dish soap, just some mild dish soap. And I do the same process where I will just let it soak and then rinse it well and roll it in towels to absorb that moisture and iron it from the backside, like you say. So it's the same process if I'm needing to wash cross stitch. But
So can you wash embroidery though?
Yeah.
Because they
Oh,
do
yeah.
on shoes and
Yeah,
everything.
you can
right?
wash it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
so VJ's just done that to avoid bleeding of the
Mhm.
threads later on when it's washed.
Right.
But yeah, you can wash it.
Right.
But your over dyed threads are not always color fast, so you've got to be
Mhm.
careful on
Right,
cross stitch.
right.
But if I don't have to, I don't wash my cross stitch.
Yeah,
So.
I don't think I've ever washed cross
Yeah.
stitch before
Yeah.
I've done it.
I haven't.
So.
So I just wanted,
Mhm.
to make sure that I'm.
Sometimes I will have a
Doing the
crease
right
in my
thing,
linen
yeah.
or something that I'm having a difficulty,
Right.
or a hoop mark or something if I've used a
Yes.
hoop. That's what
Yes.
I like about like the scroll rods is you don't get,
Mhm,
That's-
you just
exactly.
you might get a curve
Mhm.
Right.
from the rod, but you
Now-
don't get any marks
When I start my cross
Uh-huh.
stitch, I iron my fabric
before.
before.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
do that,
And so then you can wet it, you can get those wrinkles out, those creases, those,
Right.
know, before you start.
I think that's
So,
why I'm hooked on
the scroll rods.
is because it keeps it nice and
Yeah.
pretty,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I
It
don't.
does.
And if your cross stitch linen is square,
Mm-hmm.
on the grain, you've trimmed so that it's right on grain. When you mount it on the scroll rods, it's blocking it
Yes. it
while
is.
you're stitching.
That's nice.
Mhm,
That's
which
nice
is nice.
because sometimes it really kind of gets cattywampus.
It does,
there,
yeah.
a little skewed.
Yep. I like that cattywampus.
I know.
Yep.
Okay.
Is that it?
I think so.
Is that all we've got for today? All right. I think we've talked well and long enough. So we will see you next week for Table Talk.
Bye.
All right.